So the fearful avoidant attachment style is, in my opinion, the most complex and confusing attachment style, not only for the person experiencing it, so for the fearful avoidant themselves, but actually, of course, for the people experiencing them as well. This is just an overwhelming situation where you don't know if you're coming or going. And the fearful avoidant does this and has this kind of back and forth with themselves and therefore with other people, because part of them really wants the closeness, really wants to be loved, really wants to love. And they deeply, deeply want that. And at the same time, they feel an enormous amount of over responsibility in a relationship, and they start to feel frightened. That closeness starts to feel really scary to them, and so they're likely to kind of pull away or shut down or do whatever coping strategy it was that they learned in childhood to protect themselves from that sense of fear or overwhelm. Okay, so if you've been on the receiving end of being in a relationship with someone who's fearful avoidant, you will notice this kind of coming and going, and they're not there, and the desire for connection and closeness where it feels really good and you're really connected, and then likely them pulling away and saying, I can't do this anymore. And I have witnessed this thing happening where they flip and they go from pulling away to go, oh, what? No, come back. And there's something that I think I've witnessed in the people that I've seen this in, that happens every time that this happens. So in this video, we're going to talk about what is it that flips the switch where they go from pulling away to going, no, don't leave me. Okay. And I'm not saying this to you to kind of help you manipulate someone, but actually to show you that relationships, I believe, can heal. And I've seen relationships heal with fearful avoidance. And in this video, we are going to dive into why that is. What is it that makes a relationship with a fearful avoidant heal? Who do you have to be in the relationship in order to be an environment that can make that happen? So before I get into this video, I want to let you know that I've got my 6-week program, my live program called the Self-Abandonment Trap. And this is for anybody who's in this situation of really focusing on another person, staying up late, analysing text messages, longing, wishing for somebody to come back, and really having lost connection to yourself, feeling powerless in this dynamic. Because essentially, when you're doing that, they own you. They own your experience of yourself and relationships. And you want to get you back so that you can feel more in control of your life again and feel like love is possible again. And this is not to say that we're going to make a decision about this person that you're thinking about, but actually to do something different to help you be more connected to you so that you can think clearly and you can decide for yourself what you want and what you need going forward without making any hasty, black and white decisions about the relationship that you're thinking about now. So if you want to do something different that's just for you, this is your time, right? And I have a discount code, which is Freedom350, which gets you 20% off my course, The Self-Abandonment Trap. I would love to see you there. If you've got any more questions about that, you can ask me either in a discovery call, or you can find out all the information in the links below. There is 8 spaces left, okay? So those spaces will go. If you want to jump on that, I'd recommend doing it as soon as you can. Okay, so what is this thing that happens? So I've witnessed in relationships, because often fearful avoidance will attract someone who's equally insecure, right, in their own way. And they often attract maybe somebody who is anxiously attached and they want to keep the connection really close. And that then becomes overwhelming for the fearful avoidant. There's often this whole thing of like, I can make you feel safe, I can help you with this, and you're safe with me, and you don't, the anxious woman's more likely to really try to make the fearful avoidant feel safe. And that can have a kind of backwards effect because it makes them feel then overly responsible for staying in the relationship, which makes them feel trapped. So I've witnessed this thing happen where, let's say the fearful avoidant shuts down and they say, I can't do this anymore. And a securely attached person will say, okay, I understand, that makes sense. And you've got to do what's best for you. And I love you, and I want you to be happy. So if breaking up with me is what you need, then I respect that. And they kind of let it happen. They just let it happen. And so the fearful avoidant goes, huh? There's no pressure. You're gonna let me go? Oh, I I don't feel so scared anymore. And it's confusing to them because they expect this kind of like chase, or this kind of want to control the situation because they're used to being controlled. Remember, they're used to growing up in environments where it was controlled, or people around them were controlling, or it wasn't easy for them to express what they needed. And so when they say something big like this, like, I can't do this anymore, I need to be without you, and that's going to be what's right for me, and someone goes, okay, I want you to be happy, they're like, that's not what I'm used to, and that doesn't feel so scary, and maybe you are safe after all. That's the kind of, they get this kind of whiplash thing. And like I say, I've met people who've experienced this and found it very comforting when their person is just this steady, stable, secure person in their life. And that happens not because they're like a doormat, right? Because I want none of you to be a doormat, okay? I want you to know what you need and to be able to securely state it. And this is where people get mixed up, because they want to be secure, they act secure, but they don't feel it. And that is manipulation, okay? So what I want for you is for you to actually move into more of a secure attachment style. And what does that take? That takes you knowing what you need, knowing who you are, being able to be grounded within yourself, that someone else's behavior about, where they're at in their life and what they need and how they're responding to you often says more about them and their perception of the world than it does about you, okay? We're all perceiving our experience of life through the lenses that we grew up with. And it's a really blurry line, because obviously we have an impact on people. Everybody has an impact on people. Like I said in my previous video, we can't not impact people. We're all going to impact people. But at the same time, we have our lenses that we view the world through. And sometimes they're coming from, our trauma past, our lenses of fear and judgment and protection that keep us safe. And it's being able to spot when we're doing that and when someone else is doing that, and staying grounded in your truth of your reality and who you are and who you want to be. At the end of the day, we have to show up in relationships as the person we want to be. And this keeps our integrity in check, right? So the surest way to upset yourself is to go against your own values. Right? This is what I always say to people. If you're going against your own values and you're letting people walk all over you, and you're saying yes when you mean no, and you're, saying one thing but feeling another, then you're going against your own system. So if you're in a position where you really wish you were secure, but you're not, then you're ignoring something within yourself. Okay, so those feelings need processing, they need addressing, they need to be able to be complete. And often what we do is we go to therapy and we talk it out, and that's fine. Obviously a good thing. I always recommend people go to therapy, but there comes a point where you just start circling it. You're just going round, 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 round. So what can we do instead? We have to use the other side of our brain, right? The brain, which is creative, intuitive, knows you, your higher self. And I have found one of the best ways to do this is through community and creativity. These two things together are literally like a powerhouse in connecting you back to you. And this is why I've put these things in the self-abandonment trap. I think it's going to be amazing for anybody who does it, because it's not your typical kind of, let's process things, let's analyze the avoidant, let's analyze this person so that we can work out the exact way to behave. It's actually going to naturally bring you back to yourself, so that you naturally behave securely, because you are secure, right? So that's what I want for you guys. And I think I'm not doing this video as a kind of like, oh, let's work out, like I say, let's work out a way to get the fearful avoidant to feel safe with you. But it's more like, how can you make all your relationships more secure? By being more secure, yeah? And then people are magnetized towards you because you're stable, you're steady, you're not chasing. When we chase, we push people away. If you chase, they run. You chase, they run. All the time. That's what happens. But I think a lot of people in the anxious attachment style kind of make the mistake of going, I can make someone feel better, right? They're used to doing that in their childhood, the people pleasing. They've had this over responsibility in their life of like being the caretaker role, and that becomes their default reaction. I've just realised that I didn't plug my microphone in. Never mind. So I'll carry on anyway. But the thing is that when you start to realise that actually it's you versus you, it's you versus you, then it becomes more about you becoming the version of you that you want to be, and then letting people and relationships unfold naturally around you for how they're meant to be, so that it feels authentic and aligned, right? Rather than trying to manufacture something with someone who may or may not be willing. You know, the other thing with fearful avoidance is they can be quite resolute. If they're really deep in their trauma, they can be really resolute about not wanting to go back into something that at some point felt traumatic to them. So they can be like, no, I can't do that again. I can't do that again. I can't. You know, like, I'm not going to be there, even if they're really nice to me, even if they don't care, even if they just pull away and I never hear from them again. It doesn't matter, I'm not doing that again. And that means that that's where they are, and you can't really do anything about that. But it doesn't mean that you stop working on yourself, right? Because that's their stuff, and your focus on them says something about where you're at. And that's what I'm interested in, you know, taking responsibility for where you're at and really transform it, going through the transformation process of coming back to you, so that you don't, you know, stay awake at 3 a.m. analysing what you said, what could have happened, why this happened, why did they pull away, if only you'd not said that thing, if only, you know, that sort of stuff is a recipe for losing yourself and feeling worse. You know, all of these things being said and done, and like I always say to myself, if you said something, if you sent the text and you regret it, oh well, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. That was just, you know, it's done. It was meant to be, you know, so that you can let that go. But there is a way for you to stop that pattern of over giving, over explaining, trying to, you know, manufacture things to be a certain way, and just letting life flow and unfold. And that is what I want for you to experience. It's so much more peaceful this way, honestly. And it's like, oh yes, I can, you'll actually be able to go, I can step out of that role and I can be free, and I can also accept things as they are, rather than trying to change people. But if you'd like to go through this journey and you want a way to do it that's different from what you've normally done, then have a look at the self-abandonment trap. I'd love to see you there. If you want to do a discovery call, we can arrange that if you email me. Like I say, there's a discount code available for a short time. There is 8 spaces left. The discount code is freedom350, and I would love to see you there. And if not, then I'll see you in the next video.